Hello and welcome back to Single Malt Frontier, where we explore the edge of innovation in American single malt whiskey. Usually, we talk about whiskey, but the best thing about whiskey is the conversations we get to have along the way, and we get to talking about a little bit of everything. Today, we are celebrating 50 episodes of Single Malt Frontier. So, in commemoration of that, we are going to be blending a infinity bottle, or attempting to speedrun a blend of an infinity bottle, representative of every brand we've featured on the podcast so far, at least the ones that make American single malt whiskey. So I have some statistics for you, which we'll get to as we go through this. Because of the number of episodes and the fact that I really need to keep this to about an hour and 15 minutes, we're basically going to be speed running here. So I'm going to do just a little bit of intro here, and then we're just going to start pouring, and we'll talk a little bit as we go. I do want to say I was hoping to have it set up by today, but this week has completely gotten away from me. We are planning on launching our Patreon now. So like within the next couple of weeks, we're going to launch the Patreon. We're going to improve distribution of the podcast. We're going to do all the good things. We feel like we have enough value added for the Patreon. I'm not going to get into a list of it, but we're talking t-shirts, glassware, barrel stave pens that Phil makes, let's say, periodic, I'm not going to commit to a time frame yet, but periodic video calls where you get to taste with us, and we'll sort out all the details later. But just in short, all of this is out of pocket. Our streaming costs are non-negligible. Whiskey is of course non-negligible, and those of you in our audience who know, when you get to a collection this size, it's just, this is actually a limiting factor in how fast this podcast can go, is how fast we can buy whiskey. Not all brands offer us free samples, and when they don't, we have to take out of our own pocket. So any support you're willing to throw our way is good. We do have a coffee link, Ko-fi, whatever it's pronounced, the buy me a coffee kind of thing. Doesn't really feel appropriate for a whiskey podcast. And there's no buymeadram.com. So I think we're just going to do Patreon. People are comfortable with that, and we'll sort out the details later. But since we do have to speed run this thing, first I will open with Phil.
Yes.
We're going to pour something to drink.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily going to be something that goes into our Infinity Blend. The prompt was, what whiskey that we've featured or that you've discovered as a result of us doing this podcast has left an impression on you and you still think about today?
My answer may surprise some of the viewers who know that I'm a massive Pete head, but the Cedar Ridge quintessential single cask series Marquette cask finish is one that I keep coming back to, and that I've taken to D&D with me, and it has been enjoyed quite a bit. And it is an excellent example of how much difference a really wet finishing cask can have versus a drier one, because it is an absolute monster of a dram. And look at that color.
Yeah. So I know we didn't feature that on an episode because I actually didn't end up buying that one. And based on what you've had to say about it, I kind of regret that. I don't think I can get it anymore. For me, the answer is the Mountain Meadow from Lost Lantern, which I'm actually going to give you a preview. As much as I'm tempted to put this in my Infinity Bottle Blend because it is so cool, it is an intense flavor that has a potential to overwhelm things. And so I think I'm actually going to leave this one out of my blend. But the reason I'm picking this one is because when people ask me, what's the most interesting whiskey you've had since starting the podcast? This was my most interesting whiskey of 2024. And it remains the most interesting whiskey that I've had as a result. And even though I kind of know better where that interesting flavor is coming from at this point, it doesn't stop this from being an absolutely phenomenal whiskey. And that's coming from hops, by the way. This is a hopped whiskey. So it's a hopped American single malt. You can debate. It says that on the label. And so somebody at TTB approved this label. So we'll take what the TTB says. Some people would argue that hops in the mash make it not a whiskey, which means that it by definition also is not an American single malt whiskey, but that's not what it says on the label. So I'm counting it. This is the most interesting American single malt that I've discovered since starting this podcast. I don't think I'm going to be drinking much else because we're going to be focused on pouring. So, Phil, do you have a special bottle you've picked out for blending your infinity bottle into?
So I don't think it's really all that special. I home aged some Copper Fox bourbon new make to make my own bourbon, and the loss from that barrel was so much that I went from 6 bottles of new make spirit and then proofing it down to less than 3 bottles. So I have some empty Copper Fox new make bottles.
It does do that. Barrels.
Oh yeah.
Barrels have a tendency to lose. I think I filled up my little. I've stopped now. It's dry and leaky, and it's done. Now it's a prop. But I filled that barrel up 10 times, and every single time, I believe I started with 2 liters and came out with about like between 1 and 1.25. So like never like filled up just more than one standard size 270 750 bottle.
Mm-hmm.
More than one, definitely not 2, let alone the full 2 liters. And also I think that barrel kind of actually, it says 2 liters, but I think it kind of holds like 2.25. So like it always felt really thirsty. But anyway, my bottle that I'll be blending my infinity barrel into, Infinity Blend, there's the one. The bottle I'm putting my Infinity Blend into is my just recently vacated Solemn First Edition. And like you, I have a story behind this bottle, and the reason is that this concept, Pacific Northwest Peat, is essentially the thing that it's inspired me to start writing a book on American single malt whiskey, which in turn inspired me to start the podcast. Just the idea that there's that level of terroir to explore in the United States. So Solemn First Edition is Pacific Northwest Peat. It's the first time Westland released it. And it's a delicious whiskey on top of that. I'm glad I have a backup bottle. So let's get into it. We've got... Are you going to go in order, or are you going to go... Well, yeah, okay. So McCarthy's was first.
Yes. And I'm taking the bold step for the first thing to go into my blend. I'm going with the McCarthy 6-year because it was, I believe, a relatively recent release when we had Joseph O'Sullivan, the then master distiller of Hood River Distillers and Clear Creek, on our show.
So I am going to I feel like it's a good idea for us to give people the visual aid of what we're looking at here, in terms of like our podcast history here. So what is I think that's a good size. This feels like probably a good size you can see on the stream. Mm-hmm. Cool. So if we go all the way back to episode 1, and I was listening to episode 1, sort of for an episode like this, you say, gosh, shouldn't we listen to all the episodes and figure out what whiskeys we actually featured? And both Phil and I we're like, okay, best case, we've got like 200 hours of live broadcast content, not all of which ended up on this playlist. But episode 1 was far from the first thing we did on this YouTube channel, because we've started out doing like a weekly whiskey dudes sit around and talk about whatever topic before it became clear that it wasn't going to be associated with the Whiskey Lodge. And I did want it to be mostly American single malt. And then we settled on this format, and we made our first ever interview our episode 1. And so that's what that is. But it's really funny listening to that episode, how you can tell we've been doing this for a while already. It was, I think, about 6 months. We had been doing a weekly show before we did that first episode. So I'm just going to preview a couple of things on this playlist, and I'm going to go grab 3 bottles because Phil did his legwork and got all his bottles within arm's reach. I did not. They're still all behind me. So we're going to have to figure some stuff out. So Episode 1, McCarthy's Oregon Single Malt. I'm going to grab the PX cask because to me, that's what stands out as the thing that was biggest in my mind as of that interview. Although we did talk about the Oloroso cask as well. Yeah. I think that had just come out, and I don't think I had it in my hand yet.
So while you grab bottles, I'm going to talk about some things about that interview that are kind of magic behind the scenes. So Joseph O'Sullivan, we met him through the Whiskey Lodge Discord server, which is where we all hang out. When we recorded that episode, PX had dropped a little bit before. The 6-year, I misremembered. The 6-year had dropped before that even, and the Oloroso had just dropped. The Oloroso had dropped so recently when we recorded that episode that neither of us had any of it. But I believe Doug had the PX, I had the 6-year, and Joseph O'Sullivan was actually sipping on a single barrel cognac cask
The
that
cognac cask.
was
That's right.
selected by the Multnomah Whiskey Library, that was very difficult to get. And it was a really interesting interview, not just because Joseph is an extremely cool guy, and McCarthy's is an extremely cool whiskey, but also comparing notes and seeing the commonality between those releases and where they differed. Differed? I don't know. I think that's a word.
Yeah, that's a word.
Cool.
All right. So I don't know about you. I'm aiming for like a half ounce, but I'm not going to weigh it. So.
Oh, I'm measuring with my heart.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is going to go really well for me.
Yeah. So what I don't want to happen is that I max out the bottle before we get to the end of the list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So McCarthy's 6-year finished in PX goes in the blend. And by the way, I know where half an ounce is on a Glencairn better than any other measuring vessel. So I am pouring into a Glencairn and then pouring into my bottle.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I tried to start an infinity blend a long time ago, like 3 years ago, and I was doing it into a empty bottle of the Westland Sherry cask, from the old trio before they had the flagship. But that was before the podcast, and I had no particularly good reason to put absolutely every American single malt that I had into it, and I had decision paralysis. I had no idea what I wanted to put into it. And then it just oxidized to hell because I only had like 2 ounces in it. And
yeah,
so this, in a way, this topic, this challenge today is revenge for me screwing up the first time I tried to do this. And we're speed running.
Yes.
Normally you do an infinity blend over time. And that's kind of the point.
So
and here it's less of an infinity blend and more of a, let's just throw all the stuff in a bottle.
So what was next on, who did we get?
Right.
Next?
So Copperworks actually was the next American single malt that we had because we did a vodka special with Caitlin Bartlemay,
right,
as our second podcast interview,
right, and then I believe we did brandy after that.
We were basically like, you're the person we know next best in the industry, so of course we want to have you do an episode. But we just did McCarthy's. And it was already like 3 months later when we got around to doing that.
Yeah. And
apparently the Copperworks cork fits exactly in the Westland slot.
Oh, cool.
That's fun.
And we told Bartlemay that we were holding the brandy episode hostage until after she did the vodka episode with us.
That is correct. I'm realizing already. I'm seeing the future. Yes. I haven't had floor whiskey in a long time.
You're about to have,
but these bottles are going on my floor.
So I don't actually have any Copperworks samples. I'm pretty sure I did have a couple. I'm pretty sure I drank them all.
Yeah. So if I remember right, I didn't have time to send you samples ahead of that interview. I think I sent you some samples later on, but it makes sense you didn't save them because we didn't have an episode pending. So Phil needs some Copperworks for the blend. I'm just gonna write in the chat. We're taking notes in the chat, guys. Okay, so next up, so we talked about episode 2. Here, let's put this back on screen. I'm gonna try to be better about showing this when it's appropriate. So we had Bartlemay, and then we had David Thomas Tao, who's a whiskey writer and someone I knew from Twitter. And this was around the time that Twitter became X and all of the things that came along with that. And all the people who were really active on Twitter moved to Instagram. And I sort of got in touch with the people who were my favorites and said like, hey, we're all moving over to Instagram. Let's do a collab of some sort. And so David was game for doing a podcast episode. So that was pretty cool. But again, this was not a whiskey feature, not a whiskey brand feature. So it
And
was
it was a
actually.
dry episode.
Did we not drink anything?
Neither of you were drinking because David Thomas Towell was prepping for judging a spirits competition, and so he was keeping his palate clean, and you were joining him.
Fantastic! Thank you for remembering that, or watching it again. And
I watched the first six, the first six like interviews, and that one was just next up in the playlist after the Jason Parker interview, and a little bit of behind the scenes. I was doing some woodworking while I was listening and getting caught up, and it took me like 20 minutes into listening to that, kind of half listening, to realize that, oh right, this one isn't a whiskey feature, and that's a little bit embarrassing.
I mean, it was in a way, right? Because David is a whiskey writer. Like his primary gig now, since he sold Barbend, was to be a whiskey writer, and basically, also I've been meaning to get him back on for a sequel because he was very busy the year following. He produced or he executive produced a bunch of Broadway, or like not Broadway, but like stage plays, musicals, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Did a lot of content, whiskey and cocktail related, with actors. It was really, I mean, it's still really cool to watch his channel, but he had some really interesting content going on in 2023, 2024 for sure. Okay, so Jason Parker, we made this a two-parter, and I debated, should we make them both episode 4, part 1, part 2, or should we just keep with the sequence? And I decided, as of this point, if we ever had to do a part 1, part 2 with a guest, we would make it 2 separate episodes in terms of the numerical sequence, because like it's too hard to keep up with any other way. And to be quite honest, there's some in here that I decided not to put numbers on that I regret, because us talking like what we're doing today is a valid episode. And I kind of said, oh, we don't have a guest, so it doesn't count as an episode. And I got over that pretty quickly. And now I regret that there are some in here that are like that. But anyway, so episode 4 and 5, I'm going to count it as one episode for the sake of the blend. I put the Copperworks 046 release, which is Salmon Safe. And I thought this was really cool. It's Salmon Safe Genie Barley. It's New American Oak, but it doesn't come across as super tannic. So I really, this is one of my favorite Copperworks that I have, at least from around that time. Their refill casks are phenomenal though. And I haven't gotten a full bottle of a refill cask yet, which is definitely a problem I need to fix. But this was a bottle that I had when we were doing that interview, and it's one of my favorites. So this goes in the blend.
And it was one of the ones that you drank in that episode.
Yes, it was.
That
I do remember
Queen's
that
run.
And the Queen's run. Yeah. And so the Queen's run, I debated putting in this. The Queen's run is funky. Yeah. And I'm not sure if it's funky in a way that would be a problem for the blend, but I don't necessarily want to take that chance.
Yeah.
It's got it's the heads and the tails redistilled. And it has this sort of dark chocolate, but also a little bit of a fainty, but like not in a bad way, but it's like the good parts of the fainty parts.
Yeah.
And it's just a weird thing that feels like it might take over in the wrong way.
That's fair enough.
But I really like that. Like when I want something that's on the same, the Queen's run is along the same vibe as like Balcones Brimstone. When I want something that's like really different and funky and challenging in a way that whiskey usually isn't, that's one of the ones I reach for. Oh, so I am about to, that's definitely that. Yes. So moving on, I'm also foreseeing the future. I'm going to knock over a bottle at some point today, and hopefully it's closed when it happens. Our next episode was a coffee feature because that was dry week. And then after that, we had Murphy Quint of Cedar Ridge Distillery. This is one of the ones that made me feel like this podcast was valid, because Cedar Ridge was the first brand to ship me samples, and not just samples, but full-size bottles, 3 of them, which I personally felt was excessive. Most brands do this because they don't have a sample size for media. Or, it's a write-off anyway. So, whatever their justifications are, I'll ask for 2-ounce samples, and I'll often get full bottles from most brands. Murphy's awesome. Welcome in, by the way. E. Walter, I don't think we've seen you here before, but thank you so much for joining.
Hello, welcome.
And
a chaotic episode.
Yeah, this is So, fun fact, we started on Twitch, and Twitch is mostly like, at least in terms of what I watch on Twitch, is mostly video games and mostly speedruns. This is going to be the most Twitch-like episode we've ever done. E. Walter says just poured some Cedar Ridge into his ASM Infinity blend. Cool, very cool. You're doing the same thing as us, but I imagine yours is over a longer stretch of time, just based on that comment. And using a Westward Pinot finish bottle. So Westward Pinot is my comfort whiskey. And I that's a beautiful bottle. I would definitely do that. I think I still have my empty Westward Pinot bottle. Yeah, speedrunning whiskey, but it's as opposed to like instead of doing shots, because oh my god,
That would be terrible.
we're really just we're pouring us drinks and then feeding them to the bottle. Yeah, I need to remember to turn that off when we're not actually reading from it. So I am putting this, I think to this day, the Cedar Ridge Quintessential Tokai Cask Finished is actually my favorite Cedar Ridge.
Okay.
This was one of the ones that was featured in that episode, so I'm glad that I still have it, and it's going in the blend.
I selected the flagship for this because I figure it's fitting. This is our first episode with Murphy Quint, and this is sort of the standard that they set with their single malt expressions. Solera aged, it is fantastic whiskey if you have their. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. If you have an interest in American single malt whiskey and you're not sure where to start, the Cedar Ridge Quintessential is an excellent starting point.
Yeah, so that one is a single cask, and it was just specifically the one they released around the time I requested an interview from Murphy Quint. So they're like, hey, we'll send you our single cask, and we'll send you the other ones they sent me were not calling it to mind. It was the standard, and it was also the port side, which was their special release from that year. So that's the one that's up behind me on the, come on, hand, find it.
It's up there.
There, that one on the left.
I don't have any of my whiskey behind me, and I feel weird.
Yeah, you're in a different place because you wanted to do the thing where you had them all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just going to go grab bottles. It's not going to be a problem, but it is going to slow us down. Okay, you're friends with Big Sexy. Cool.
All right. Oh, man. And that was an episode that I was not actually on. I listened to it on my walk home from work because I was working closing shift at that point.
Yep. Okay, so I've got to get my next round of whiskey. So let's take a quick preview at what we've got coming up next.
Yep.
I have to find the window. So we did another dry week. We had a dry week feature. So this is where I'm like, should this have been a numbered episode? Maybe. But we called it a bonus episode because it was just us talking. And then we had a non-alcoholic spirits brand come on. Mm-hmm. Next up, we had Brendan Cardy of Killowen Distillery, which is the first and only time we've ever done a non-American producer. And since that's not American single malt, we'll be skipping that for the purposes of this blend.
Wonderful stuff, by the way. Absolutely,
we're going to skip gin. So next up, we have VDC, and on that one we talked about courage and conviction. So I'm going to grab my courage and conviction for the blend. And then we had Jonathan Harris and Anna Mathiakis, I apologize, of Westward Distillery. And Reed is an expert, but was not affiliated with a brand at the time, so we didn't have a whiskey feature on episode 13. Likewise, we didn't have any American single malt for our first visit from Few with Sydney Jones. We talked about, this was more of a dry week feature again, where we talked about the effect of booze on the brain.
Which genuinely a really interesting watch.
Yes.
I learned a lot, and it was really interesting to essentially learn from somebody who is kind of an industry leader in like safety and like effects of alcohol on the brain. It was really cool to talk to her about that.
Yep.
Now,
I think it wasn't one of the ones that came up in the episode, but I think I'm going to do the rum cask finished Westward
Ooh.
for that one. Because I know we're putting our barrel pick, the rum cask finished barrel pick, in our blend also. And I feel like putting them together is likely to be better than having different finishes fighting. So we need Courage and Conviction. I'm going to get a Westward. And so then we had not ASMW feature on 13 and 14. Then we had another dry week episode, because we do one every 3 months. And I think at that time we were doing an interview every 2 weeks or so. So actually dry week was coming up, like it was like 5 episodes or four or 5 episodes, and then dry week again. Which I think you'll see that as a pattern. One of the ways we got to 50 episodes and only had 30 different whiskey brands represented is because of all the dry week content. And then we have Boulder Spirits. So we're going to get VDC, Westward, and Boulder Spirits for the next round.
So while you're grabbing whiskeys, I'm going to talk about what I'm putting in. So I'm going big or going home, even though I'm already at home. My VDC choice for this one, because we were talking about the Courage and Conviction, is actually the Courage and Conviction Double Bourbon Barrel. It is, Double Cask Reserve Bourbon Barrel. Just amazing stuff. It is one that I tend to bring out at special occasions, and when I feel like I need something that's a little bit nicer. It is fantastic. The sort of material packaging for it is fantastic. I really like it. The stopper is, I mean, you could throw this at someone and do some real damage. It is hefty.
Man, that smells really good. You know, the thing I've always said about, so mine's the Double Cask Reserve.
Oh yeah, you're doing the same thing as I am.
Yep. That's not double bourbon cask though. Did you say double bourbon cask?
Oh no, you're right. Matured in first fill premium bourbon and European red wine STR casks.
Yep.
Right.
So it's a mix of, basically it's a mix of the bourbon and what they call cuvee.
Yeah. I misremembered and then didn't actually look at it.
Yeah. And the fun story about this one, Jennifer Wren, when she worked for VDC, reached out to us and gave us these samples as a promotion. As a matter of fact, before we had reached out for an interview.
Yes.
And I said, hey, I was meaning to reach out for an interview anyway. Could you connect us with Amanda Beckwith? And so that's how that happened.
And then on to Westward, I think.
Yep.
And I'm torn. I'm looking at Westward Oloroso, which I have a sample of tequila cask, 2 malts, or stout cask. And
I would do the stout cask. If I had the stout cask, I would do the stout cask. Actually, you're making me question whether I should do the rum cask right now, because I have like not their standard stout cask, but other stout cask finish stuff that they do.
I mean, it happens to be the only Westward that I could get in Virginia ahead of our episode with them. And weirdly, it was sort of one of those funny things where we were talking about like the different finishes that they were doing at Westward, and it was brought up and you were like, oh, I don't think we have the stout cask. And I was like, oh, that's the only one that I do have.
That's right. That was the only one from the standard series I didn't have. Yeah. Well, I have decided I'm going to stick with my gut. I'm going to do the rum cask. I'm going to lean into the fact that our blends are going to be different, because one of the things we're going to do after this episode is swap samples of our, like, give them some time, probably a couple months, and then swap samples of our Infinity blends and talk about it in a future episode. I have no idea how far down the list of episodes we're actually going to do that. But yeah, because that sounds like a lot of fun. It also leans into our bit where we blend stuff randomly together at the end of every episode, and then sometimes we'll taste them again later.
I do love when we do that with the blender on.
Yeah, I'm glad that. So the thing about, so we just did episode 49 with Anna Hins from Westland Distillery. Yeah, I love the Westward is just such a distinctive profile.
Oh yeah.
And the different finishes that they do with the special club releases every quarter, just like it's a distillate that really stands on its own, like really has an identity, and also takes finishes really well.
Mhm.
The finishes, a lot of them are like not as different from each other as I would like, considering that I keep getting a new bottle every 3 months,
Yeah.
but they're all really good.
All right. And I lost track. What was after West?
Boulder Spirits
Boulder
was
Spirits.
episode uh was episode 16 with Mr. Ryan Negley. This was the first time we had Boulder Spirits on. And this was a weird thing where technically I bought the whiskey, but I bought the whiskey at a significant discount at a blind auction. And it was a 6-pack of like Stock Your Bar. And I said, I went to Ryan Negley, who I met that weekend, and I said, hey, I would love to have Boulder Spirits on my podcast. And is there any way that like I could just like pay you extra to upgrade the bottles that aren't American Single Malt to American Single Malt or other whiskey that you make? And he said, yeah, no problem. Don't even pay for it. Like you paid for these bottles, but I'm going to upgrade you to all the American Single Malts that we had, because he had 6 different American Single Malts at the time. What is the series called? So they have this series where this one was the 10 essentials, and later on we got Leave No Trace. This is basically a blend of a bunch of different styles that they make in-house, targeting a particular profile. So it's got just a touch, if I remember right, this one has just a touch of peat.
Mhm.
It's 49.5% because it's mostly water,
Mhm.
which I thought was really cute. It's just barely mostly water. So yeah, this is basically a camping themed thing. And
Right.
let's say the port, sherry, Armagnac, and American oak casks. And this one may actually not have had any peat in it, but in any case, this is a blend of a lot of different styles they make. And so as long as we're making a blend of everything we featured on the podcast so far, we might as well do the one that's already done some of the work ahead of us.
So I'm personally torn between the 7-year and the BIB, the Bottle and Bond.
The
And
Bottled and Bond is really good.
I think I'm going to go with the Bottle and Bond because it is an unusual designation to see in American Single Malt whiskey. So a little bit of Bottle and Bond Boulder Spirits.
I'm having a smell, but not a taste of many of these because I
Oh,
don't want
yeah.
to contaminate the bottle with tastes per se. I could do another glass, I guess, but if we stop to taste everything, this is going to take forever. All right, and progress check. We are, let's see, 20% full? Maybe-ish?
Yeah.
I'm realizing now I should actually write down the thing. Well, hey, I'm putting them on the floor. I know what I'm
Yeah.
putting in here. I don't have to
Yeah.
take notes live. We're speed running here.
Yes.
Okay, don't close that bottle. I'm still using it. Put this bottle on the floor.
All right. Wow.
Whoa, it almost fall off my chair. Okay. What's up next? So we're speeding up. We're doing good. Remind me to throw out some statistics about the podcast that I may not have gotten to yet. So episode 17, we had Bartlemay back. This was the brandy episode we promised her. And once again, we did talk about whiskey, but it wasn't the feature. So, I mean, you can't talk to Caitlin Bartlemay without talking about whiskey at the same time. But it was definitely meant to be a brandy feature. So I'm just going to say, even though we technically did drink some whiskey there, I believe it might have been Trail's End. It might have been McCarthy's. I'm still going to say that wasn't a whiskey feature, and we have plenty of McCarthy's coming. So, or at least one more McCarthy's coming.
At least one more.
Okay,
Next
so
Mark Fiertaler, right?
Yeah, so the next up was Mark Fiertaler of Whiskey Del Bach. And let's see, so that's episode 18. 19 was a special that I did where I reached out for an interview with someone. I was sent a sample of a brand called Arcane that was not American Single Malt, but was really interesting because of the process. Check out that interview. It's very cool. It's one of the geekier ones, but it's not American Single Malt, so we'll skip over that. Episode 20, Sherry with Nathan Lehman, a representative from Lustau Sherry. gave us the rundown on all the different styles of sherry. There were more than I thought. That was very educational. The research leading up to it and the episode itself, lots of fun. I recommend also go learn about sherry. If you're a whiskey, if you're a whiskey fan that likes finishes and you like scotch that's been aged in sherry casks, you know less about sherry than you should, and you should go fix that.
Yes.
And then we have Lost Lantern. So what did we feature in that first episode with Lost Lantern? Do you recall off the top of your head?
I do not.
Let me see if the video description has the list, because some of them I did.
So I'm torn. I'm torn between Frontera and Dorado for my Whiskey Del Bach edition, and I'm leaning towards Dorado for the chaos because peat, mesquite.
Yeah, I like that vibe. Although, he also gave us a sample of Normandy for that episode, right?
That was one that you already had.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so we'll leave out Normandy. What else do we have?
So this is an interesting, because we were talking about sherry. Let me find my mouse. So yeah, this is something that I ran into. I was trying to get examples of different kinds of sherry leading up to the episode, and I found in the area where I live, which is an area where you would think that there would be plenty of people who know a thing or two about fine wines of quality and fortified wines and sherry and whatnot. Nobody had sherry.
Yeah.
I cold called some wine shops that I felt like I couldn't afford to walk into to ask about sherry, and almost all of them said, "Oh, we don't really carry any sherry because nobody drinks sherry. They just use it for cooking, and cooking sherry isn't worth having." And I was like, I kind of understand, but also I said to one of them, "Oh, I'm going to be doing an interview with a representative from the House of Lestau to talk about like sherry and its effects on whiskey, and we were going to taste through a bunch of different sherries." And he was like, "Oh, that's really cool. Nobody carries sherry around here."
And also, E. Walter says, I just had my first Del Bach last night. What did you think of it? Because I think your first time trying Del Bach, if it's your first mesquited whiskey, if you're actually having one of them that has mesquite smoke in it, it's a whole new thing.
Oh yeah.
So, Phil,
Yes.
how shall I dare to be bold?
I mean, that is already so busy a whiskey.
I know that's
so
the problem.
much going on in it.
I love this whiskey, but I think it will either dominate or get buried, and I think both are bad outcomes here.
Yes.
So, as cool as the Distiller's Cut Spring 2024 is, I think I won't have this one. I need to be thinking about. So, I think for our third appearance of Del Bach, though, I think I need to include the Distiller's Cut that Spooky Chicken got for me. That feels fair. That one's actually less busy, I think, than this one, though. So,
I mean, I keep getting distracted thinking about like what I'm going to put in here for each of these. Let's see.
So Frontera is non-mesquited.
Right. It is
finished in PX.
Right.
So Del Bach Frontera feels like the right. If I remember right, I think that's the one I said was my favorite during the episode. If you discount the real complexity of the Distiller's Cut.
Oh man, that stuff was amazing.
Fun fact, I got served an earlier blend of Frontera blind on the Blind Samples Showdown and did not like it. And because that's out there on the internet, and when I say did not like it, I mean like my opponent thought it was horrible. I thought it was okay, but weirdly soapy tasting. But I like, to be fair though, in contrast to the other random whiskeys that we were having, it might just have been a bad lineup. But that said, my bottle of Frontera is way better than the random sample of Frontera that I had then. So I would say, and this is definitely true, Del Baca has gotten a lot better with time.
Yes.
When Mark joined the brand, there was he did some quality control work and like sensory consistency work. And the brand has just been getting better and better and better over the years.
So I'm pretty sure that we talked about the Cedar Ridge Sherry single malt sherry finished single cask from Lost Lantern on that episode, which wasn't a current release at the time, but I remember it being one that Adam singled out as being one that he thought we would particularly enjoy, and you had a bottle of it, so I have a sample of it.
The Cedar Ridge, yeah. So
yes.
I was thinking I would do American Vatted Malt on this one.
Yes,
blend into blend.
Mm-hmm.
We might lose all of the little bits of character. Is the downside of putting a busy blend?
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm still gonna do it, and my reason for that is because American Vatted Malt was the first taste of American single malt I had when I was paying attention to the fact that American single malt was a thing. So I had Westland before that, but this was the first time I'd had it after I'd like figured out, oh, American single malt's a thing, and this was the first other American single malt I had.
Yeah.
So it feels appropriate for this podcast that, like, even though by the time we had Lost Lantern on our show for the first time, we were well past this point of their brand. In terms of my journey through whiskey, this is an important bottle.
And I will say, fun fact, the sherry single cask here is 2021 cask 1 from Lost Lantern.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
It is so good. And I managed to snag a full-size bottle of it. And as much as I'm
that was in one of their sales, right? They found some extra inventory things.
Yes. Oh, and it was worth the purchase. Absolutely.
Definitely. That's one of the best single casks from Lost Lantern. It's fine saying it's one of the best.
Yeah.
There are some other really good ones.
I mean, it was
one of the best.
It is genuinely hard to pick a best from any of these brands, but I mean, from Lost Lantern, it's just extra challenging because they do so much.
Okay, so we had Del Baca, we had Independent Bottling, and we had Ana Mantiacas back again. This one we talked mostly about how having synesthesia affects her role blending whiskey and distilling whiskey and quality control and the data analysis and all that. Very, very cool episode. Some of the audio stuff that we did in that episode didn't come through StreamYard super well.
Yeah.
So there's a world in which I re-edit that episode to make into probably a shorter video, but like to make those audio cues better. But like if you use your imagination on things like sine waves and pink noise and orchestra's tuning and that sort of thing, you'll still get the idea. I thought it was, and the falling rain and so on. I thought it was a really cool episode. We didn't talk that much about whiskey, and I don't think we visited any new whiskeys.
No, I don't think. I think that I literally did not pour any whiskey for myself that episode. I could be misremembering, but I believe that is the case.
I do remember talking about the Pinot cask, but I am out of Pinot cask.
I don't think I have any. No, I don't have any.
So E. Walter says the Del Baca that he or she had was just the classic, I think without mesquite. Yeah, the classic, if it has mesquite at all, it's like 5% of the blend or less. Or it's just like whatever wafted from the smokers onto the barley in the next room. So there's like a little bit of cross-pollination, but essentially it's not mesquited. So you should definitely try mesquited Del Baca at some point. Really worth it. We have a few mesquited brands that's coming up soon. But yeah, I'm just going to grab another. So I did the rum cask. You know, I am going to grab one of the stouted something or others that they have. I'll play it by ear. Nope. Know what? I immediately changed my mind. The thing I was thinking about as of that episode was the Vintner's Cuvée, because the Vintner's Cuvée was a higher proof wine cask finished westward. So that's that one. This was one of their quarterly releases. This was the first time they started releasing club releases, not counting the bottled and bond, but I think the bottled and bond came later. This was the first time they started releasing club releases above 45% ABV, which I had been wanting for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
This is only 48%. And it's funny, they say Vintner's Cuvée high proof, but it is only 48% alcohol. But it is higher than the 45%. And I think this brings a lot of extra richness. So it's like everything I like about the Pinot, but like more complexity to it, more richness.
I went with the last bit of my Cabernet cask, which is also a higher proof.
That was a cask strength, right?
Yes, 64.8 it says.
Yeah, that was a really, really good one.
It is.
I feel like everything I've put in here so far has been in the mid 40s%, and I don't. At some point, I'm going to end up cask strengthing in here, so maybe that's a bad reason.
I don't
I just
know.
want to say this is actually my second bottle of this. I love this whiskey.
All right.
That's saying a lot. I don't do a second bottle of many things.
Fun fact, after that episode, I followed through on my promise to send Anna a sound clip of a machine tool running to see what she thought of it. And as I recall, it wasn't a pleasant tasting experience.
Yeah, but what's interesting about that is like, yeah, that was not a pleasant sound, but she was telling us that sometimes unpleasant sounds lead to useful or interesting or even good tasting experiences for her. So it's just kind of it's hard to know.
Yeah.
But it is kind of funny that like you meet a synesthete who likes to experience things according to their synesthesia and says, send me weird, jarring, bad sounds. I want to know. Right. And it feels a little like you're torturing them, but you're also like, you're doing exactly what they ask.
Yeah. And for those curious, that sound was a 1914 South Bend Model 9Y cutting threads. Which?
Okay, up to our next. Yeah, that was a very unique episode. I definitely recommend it. It's definitely fluffy, right? We were messing around with audio and spending a long time thinking about stuff, and it was definitely more of like a sit around and chat kind of episode and less of like lots of things happening. So it's a slow episode, but I think it's good listening. I think it was, well, let's see, we have the runtime up on screen right now. It was over 3 hours long.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, like, if I do the re-edit of that episode, it's going to have to trim it down and add the audio cues back in and probably end up about half an hour. Not to like, I don't do, like, just to be clear, I don't do edits that often. So when I say there's a world in which, I'm not committing to doing that at all. So don't put off watching that episode because you're waiting for an edit. The edit is not pending. It's just don't count on it. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we threw in another Just Talking bonus episode, and then we had Rick Wasmond of Copper Fox. So we have a couple of options there. You have Wasman's, which is a deep cut because that's before the rebrand. Of course, the obvious name association.
So, fun fact, I also have a bottle of the 20th anniversary re-release of Wasman's, which is batch 215. This is batch 142. And talking to Rick Wasmond about these is really, really interesting because the first several batches, and somebody in the Whiskey Lodge had a bottle from batch like 5.
I remember that.
Yeah, which is really cool because Rick Wasmond said pretty forthrightly that the very early batches of Wasman's are bad because they hadn't figured out the right ratio of cherry to other hardwoods and fruit woods to get good flavors. There are still people who really don't like Copper Fox for its smoke. I personally really enjoy it. Um, this I find to be a very good whiskey. And every time I open it, I pour myself a little bit, and I've been really, really careful not to run out of it. But I may have to see if I can get another bottle of the 20th anniversary.
So my choice for this one is actually one of the earliest American single malts that I bought. That was, I say one of the earliest. I think it was like the 8th or something like that bottle that I bought, and I bought it during my first American single malt advent. So that was American single malt advent. Was it 2022?
I believe so. Yes, I could be wrong.
Was it 2021? Hold on. Got to check the subreddit. No, that's going to take forever. Okay, there's been 3. The 2024 kind of got canceled halfway through because the ratification happened, and that was enough to cover.
Yeah.
2023 we did. 2022 we skipped. So it was 2021. So American Single Malt Advent 2021. This was one of the bottles I bought for it. I bought it from Sealbox, and I bought it because I didn't know that there was a distillery in Virginia that was making American Single Malt. Yeah, I didn't know about VDC either. And I thought that it was really cool because it wasn't just that they're making American Single Malt. They are making applewood and cherrywood smoked American Single Malt. So that's what's in this. And this is also aged in... They used applewood and oak chips inside used bourbon barrels and finished in port from nearby wineries, which is a similar sort of philosophy to what Westward does with lots of local wine and beer cask sourcing that they do. And check out the color on that. It is just strikingly deep copper.
And like I said, I've run into a handful of people that really seem to dislike Copper Fox because of its smoke. But I think that it is really good for my palate. I really like it. The Wasman's Batch 142 is very good. The Peachwood smoked single malt is also very, very good.
I just had a sip of that. Maybe it's because the bottle's been open a while, and like this is a really intense flavor, so I don't get into it very much, as you can see.
Yeah.
Because I've had it for 4 years, and yeah. It's also... So this is where I stopped myself from saying I don't want to cast strength in, because this is 66.75% alcohol. This is a high, near hazmat. Yeah. It's really intense. I really enjoy it when I have it, but I must have it in only... I just poured myself a tiny splash to remind myself how it tastes. That's what I'm going to drink. That's only ever what I've drank from this bottle. It's very good, but it
lot.
Wallops you. This is like, have a few other whiskeys and then experience a few sips of this. Not a sit around and drink kind of whiskey.
Fair enough.
That's in no way an endorsement against Copper Fox. It's just this particular single cask is a lot. I am also keenly aware that could very well take over the flavor profile of my blend. And, shit happens.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it shakes out.
Yep. Okay, so next up we have the ASMW Roundtable featuring Cumming Whiskey. Nope. Wait, no. Really? Oh, hold on. What did we talk about in that episode? Well, that was not a brand feature. I was mistaking that with our Mesquite Smoked Roundtable, which is coming up next. Yeah. So episode 24 was just this is the state of the industry. This was in August last year, and we were going, TTB is taking too long to ratify this thing. We need to drum up more support. Let's get a bunch of fans together and talk about it. That was a really fun episode. I don't remember what exactly we talked about, but it was probably the same talking points I talk about every time this comes up. So that's happened a few times. And we also had another still waiting on the TTB. The reason for all this around this time was the fact that we had passed TTB published their proposal for American Single Malt in the end of July or beginning of August 2022.
Yes. I know when the comment period closed,
which was 60 days after that. So it was September, like close to the end of September.
27th of September.
Yeah.
The day before my birthday.
Nice. Yeah. So you don't forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think there was a lot of hullabaloo about, hey, it's been 2 years since the close of the comment period, I believe was what was going on here. So we had this American Single Malt Roundtable, and we talked with the president of the American Single Malt Whiskey Association, Steve Hawley, who
Mhm.
also was previously affiliated with Westland Whiskey. Neither of those episodes was a whiskey feature, so we'll skip over that. But the next one was 3 whiskey features. The Mesquite Smoked Roundtable actually featured guests from Del Bach. So we had Mark Viertaler of Del Bach. We had Colin Keegan of Colkeegan, Santa Fe Spirits. And we also had Moose Allen from Andalusia Whiskey. And we talked
Yes.
all about putting mesquite smoke in whiskey. So I'm going to go grab. So now we have a problem. We have this was the second time Del Bach appeared.
Right.
And this
I
was the
would
first time for Santa Fe and Andalusia.
I would put Santa Fe in because
Oh, I'm gonna put one for each. I feel like
okay.
it's only fair to put every brand.
See,
That's my take.
the thing is, I don't have anything from Andalusia or Santa Fe.
Did I not? I'm sorry.
I
Okay.
I didn't have that was one of those things where timing was not great for me, so we put off getting samples for that one to me because we weren't sure I was going to be able to be there, and I think at that point in time I was having trouble with boxes not being delivered to my house. So
Yep.
uh,
Yep.
and that got sorted out. Kind of ironed itself out, strangely.
Also, keeping an eye on the clock here, I think we're about halfway through, and we're already at nearly an hour, so we got to move it along.
Yes.
So cool. I'm gonna go grab a few things. So we got Del Baca, Andalusia, Santa Fe.
Yes. Santa Fe makes some excellent stuff. I have tried a pour of I think the standard Colkagan at a bar in DC. It was very good. And I really want to get my hands on something from Andalusia, but I have not yet had that opportunity. I mean, there have been opportunities, but I haven't been able to seize any of said opportunities. Really interesting to talk to those 3 individuals in one sitting because they have 3 very different approaches to mesquite and like sort of how they arrived at the use of mesquite. And it's a really interesting contrast, and it's cool to get producers from multiple distilleries in one room to talk about stuff because they tend to do a lot of talking to each other about like cool stuff that's going on and like talking about each other's products and what they like about them, which is always really cool. And also all 3 of those people are massive troublemakers, and it is hilarious to have 3 kind of chaotic troublemakers in one room talking about whiskey.
Yeah. Agreed on all counts.
Oh yeah.
So I was debating grabbing a Lost Lantern Santa Fe, but then I remembered I actually have some samples from Coming Whiskey. And
Ooh.
he sent me so funny enough, I've never had a bottle of Santa Fe or Colkagan. I've only had samples of them because I don't know reasons. It wasn't like I used to actually shop in Total Wine before I started shopping from distilleries directly. And Santa Fe was like not something that I often saw or ever saw in Total Wine, so I just never bought it there. And I also used to shop on sealed blocks before lots of distilleries in more recent years started making their whiskey available directly from their website to ship to consumers because of improving direct to consumer
Mhm.
laws. And there was this weird time in the middle where it was either Total Wine or it was seal box for me in terms of what I was buying. And around the time where I was thinking I should get some Colkagan, those were my options, and it just somehow never stood out to me. But I did end up getting a few samples. This one is the Santa Fe Colkagan apple brandy cask, which I've only ever had a sip of.
And I've heard that that's very good.
So I am going to have to stick some of this in a glass and actually taste it because it's been like at this point, I know the Santa Fe profile via the samples, via Lost Lantern, and so on. but I don't call to mind specific bottles that well because I haven't reviewed a lot of these samples.
Mm-hmm.
That smells amazing.
Oh yeah.
Something about and one of the reasons I grabbed this, and there's also a Lost Lantern that is an apple brandy cask Kilkagan, Santa Fe. Santa Fe spirits in an apple brandy cask, which I was going to open. I had a sample from Lost Lantern. I have not opened the sealed bottle yet, so I'm like, I don't know if I want to open the sealed bottle right this minute because that's a whole thing. Their
Sure.
seals are a little hard to get open, and we got a speed run here, which
Yes.
reminds me, I got to stop talking.
All right.
Santa Fe apple brandy, great stuff. Okay, moving on. Del Bach. So this was about mesquite smoke. I'm doing Del Bach Dorado, easy.
I should have done Frontera before, so I could do Dorado now. But I'll put a little bit of Frontera in now, and they'll.
Yeah, you can correct that
Yeah.
mistake. Shall we call it a mistake?
A mild oversight. I still really like the Del Bach closures, the synthetic cork that is one piece.
Yeah, I think I was talking to I think it was Colin Keegan. I think I was talking to, and I said I really like Del Bach's closures. We were just talking about closures, and he basically commented on how cheap that is. Like I don't want to put words in his mouth. This may not have been him. I was talking to somebody in the industry about closures, and I brought up Del Bach closures, and they said that's basically it's like one of the cheapest things. And I said, you know what? That notwithstanding, I've never had an issue with one of these.
Oh yeah, these wonderful wood topped, and this is an artificial cork, but it's a wood top synthetic cork. I've had those fail. I've had the sort of composite corks crumble. I've had the natural one piece corks fail. I mean, it's just nothing is perfect there, but as cheap as those one piece rubber closures are, they're solid. And I think that maybe it's worth the trade-off of people to know going, they're kind of cheap to have something that has a lower failure rate. It's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, and that said, like there aren't a lot of distilleries that use the same single monoform rubber
The monocork
thing that Del Bach is using.
Mm.
So I haven't had like this is sample bias, right? I haven't had that many opportunities for such a thing to fail on me. So there may come a day where that fails too, and I learn to hate it just as much as every other type of cork. And for the Andalusia, I'm putting Striker in. So Striker, of course, is their Texas smoked single malt, which is both it's mesquite as well as Texas hardwood smoke. So you get a little bit of both philosophies in there, but this is not the Revenant Oak, which is the peated one. So this is the mesquite smoked one.
Excellent. I
put it in my glass, but I didn't put it in the bottle yet. So here we go. Oh. Right. Yes, that's definitely the one. It's amazing to me how different from each other. I mean, we were just talking about it, but again, how different from each other the three different mesquite smoked whiskeys are.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of, I don't want to say convergent technology, but when things develop, not necessarily in isolation, but separately, technology does it all the time. You end up with things that are kind of similar, but kind of different.
Also, evolution, everything converges to crab.
Yes.
Okay, so here's a big one. I don't want to spend forever on it because we did like 3 episodes about it, basically. Our McCarthy's single barrel pick has to go into this blend.
Yes.
I'm tempted to even put like 3 measures worth of it in there, but I feel like that's not quite the philosophy I've been following so far.
Fun fact, this bottle was a friend of mine, Willie's introduction, I believe, to American single malt whiskey and peated American single malt whiskey, in fact. And on the strength of that, and him kindly sharing a pour of it with a friend of his resulted in the sale of, at minimum, 4 bottles to various other people who decided that they had to have their own bottles because Willie stopped being willing to share.
Yep. What I'll say is everyone I know who's tried this, with very few exceptions, has wanted more of it. And as far as I know, there's still like a few bottles left.
Yeah.
So there's a link in the description to all of those. It's such a weird thing. It feels like there's some people that were like, I want to buy more, but I want to make sure other people can get it. And it's like, it's been a year.
Yeah.
I think you can buy the rest of it now.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
but you know, it is still available. It's still $120. It's still flat rate shipping for
up to 6 bottles.
Up to 6 bottles of anything in the hrdspirits.com shop.
Yes.
HRD Spirits is the parent brand of Clear Creek, which makes McCarthy's, by the way, in case any of that was confusing. And we'll put a link to that in the description, like we always do.
And I recommend buying the Old Delicious double bourbon barrel apple brandy. It doesn't.
Phil, this is still amazing.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I mean I'm not just pandering, but like, wow.
Hold on, I gotta find my little pocket flashlight so I can show you how much I've got left in my second open bottle.
Yeah, by the way, I bought like 12. No, I bought like 18 bottles.
I'm down to there on bottle number 2.
Yep, I can see it. I think like 6 of them were meant as gifts for friends and family, like immediately.
Mhm.
I still have 12 bottles in my closet, and that includes the one I finished. Sorry, 12.
Wait,
12 bottles. 12 bottles after the one I finished is what I meant to say.
And of course, my bottle number 2 is going to stay sealed. I am not generally one to be like a collector of like whiskey because I think that defeats the point. But bottle number 2, eventually I'm going to get signed by Caitlin Bartlemy.
Oh, that's a neat trick. I should have asked her to sign them before she sent them out. Yeah. So when Phil says bottle number 2, he doesn't mean his second bottle, right? Because this was a barrel pick we did. We got bottles 1 and 2 respectively, and the founder of the Whiskey Lodge got bottle number 3 because he's what brought us all. He's the person who brought us all together, and he enabled us to market this in that Discord community, which is not of this podcast. This podcast is more loosely associated with that community, I would say. So I'm not opening this bottle. For one thing, my videographer friend Carrie wants to do some filming of this bottle in my space when he gets a chance to visit, and he wants it to be sealed. But also, this is probably going to be the last of the bottles that I open, just because I have other bottles. Why would I harm the integrity of bottle number 1 when I have other options?
Absolutely. Oh man. Moving right along, fun and fancy free.
Moving along. It's taking longer than I thought it would. We're bad at speed running, and we're losing steam.
VDC. And then where did I put it?
Yes. Okay, so VDC, in that episode was really about the VDC line, but we also talked about the Brewers Coalition series. I'm going to stick to the VDC line.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm going with the Blue Ridge Select. Personally, one of, if not the favorite of that line, although the Cabernet Cask Select also is fantastic. If you like a wine finished whiskey, the Cabernet Cask just knocks it right out of the park. The port cask is a really good, robust port cask finish. It's so good.
Cheers, Ethan. Yeah, thank you for buying it. Thank you. And if you want more, go get some more. Like seriously, out of all the whiskey I've bought, $120 for that barrel pick we did is a steal. And the fact that bottles are still existing unsold is a crime. The only reason I haven't bought the rest of them is because I've already spent $2,000 on that whiskey.
Yeah, I spent a lot of money on it. Not that much, but
you mentioned the Cabernet Cask. That is my favorite of the bunch, and I feel like it's going to go best with the blend I have going on so far. Otherwise, my pick would have been the cider cask.
Interesting.
but the cider cask is so bright in comparison to everything else that has gone in here. I feel like it would
Yeah.
just fight.
That's fair.
Oh, by the way, on that McCarthy's, I poured with my heart, and I think that was an ounce or more that went in there. So I did pour heavy on it.
Excellent.
You know, for nearly 7 years old and in a rum cask for its whole life, that McCarthy's is surprisingly light profiled.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It is something about it, just the way it sits, just
Yeah.
There's a reason why we picked it.
We have a mild brush with fame. Daniel Whittington reviewed that bottle on the Whiskey Vault.
Mhm.
So reading between, I mean, he not so subtly said it wasn't for him. But from talking to other people who know him, it sounded like that was more like a, hey, this isn't for me, but it is really good. Not to put words in his mouth, because like I'll honestly just take the, like, you know, it's not even criticism. It's just like, I chose this thing. It's a unique, punchy. It's different from regular McCarthy's and whatever. And like, if you add those things up in a certain way, you could say, hey, maybe this isn't what I want from McCarthy's. Maybe this isn't what I want from a whiskey. But if you add those things up in a different way, that's exactly what I was going for. And I think it turned out great.
It is so good. It is hands down my favorite American single malt whiskey.
Same. Yeah,
it's just so good. I mean, frankly, it's probably my favorite whiskey, period, which is weird because I'm, believe it or not, much more of a rye guy.
And I mean, outside of single malt, outside of American single malt, I drink a lot of Scotch, and there's a lot of really, really good Scotch. And I think my opinion on that McCarthy's is slightly swayed because it's mine, but also, you know, according to my own subjective grading scale, which I haven't actually published a review of that whiskey for. I put it off for a while because I was like, I don't want to like sway people's opinions by putting my own out there, in terms of a score. But like, I think that is the only whiskey I've ever reviewed that I would score over 76 points, or like 76 and higher, like the top half of the 90s. And I think there's only like 2 scotches that are way expensive that I would rate as highly or higher.
So Hinter House is next.
Yes.
The only Hinter House I have left is the edition number 2. And I only have about 3/4 of an ounce left. 2 ounce Boston Round. If that's 2 ounces, that's 1 ounce. That's 3/4 of an ounce. And it's all going in. Which is a little bit of a shame, but I want to have some Hinter House in there, and I have actually written a review for this. I don't know that I've published it anywhere, but I have written a review. Sorry,
I just realized that we had this thing up and we weren't even displaying.
Oh yeah.
So let's see. The next run that we have here: Hinter House, American Single Cask, Liberty Pole, and the Lost Lantern 10-year collection.
Yes.
Right. So for the Hinter House, I am gonna do the batch 3. Actually, it's got so much butterscotch on the nose, and like, since I'm going by nose right now, that's calling to me. Between the two, I think the batch 2 was my favorite in terms of just an overall drinking experience. But in this blend, I think this butterscotchy nose is going to work.
I think weirdly enough, that I had a similar opinion regarding which one was my favorite.
It's not that weird.
Excuse me. I mean, but usually we aren't really on the same page on that sort of thing, which is sort of one of those things that's like everyone's a little bit different. Everyone has their own picks, and mine typically are a little bit different. American Single Cask.
Did you say we are or are not on the same page about? I think we are.
I mean,
we have
think
different preferences.
Broadly, we are, but I think that when it comes down to like when we've got a bunch of whiskeys in front of us, we have a tendency to have slightly different opinions on where we want to go with things.
Yeah. Okay. So American single cask, I'm gonna have to skip because I believe I put those away in a box, and I'm not sure which box they're in. I didn't have time to go digging.
Um,
So
I've
I
got
have to write down for me. I need to add an American single cask sample to my blend. Um, the one I'm gonna pick though is the Santa Fe. The
aha.
American single cask Santa Fe cask is one of my favorite American single malts that I've tasted so far.
I'm going with the chocolate malted barley from Heritage Distilling Company because that's the one that I could find.
Is that an American single malt?
You know, I think you might be right. I thought that it was, but if it's just a malt whiskey, I will
Want me to check
pass
that for you real quick?
and I will see if I can find the blinking owl. But that will happen later. And I know that the blinking owl is single malt, and I know that I have about half of that left.
Let's see. We have I found Coming Whiskey's review of it. It's 10% chocolate malt, 90% unmalted barley. So the
No,
chocolate malted barley from Heritage is actually an unmalted barley whiskey.
gotcha. So I will find the blinking owl and put that in later. And then I believe next up is the Lost Lantern 10-year collection.
Yes. And so
Oh no, Liberty Pole.
yes, Liberty Pole's next.
Liberty Pole. This one is so cool. I reached out to them when I saw a post on Twitter for or X, formerly known as Twitter, where they were talking about releasing a cherrywood smoked American single malt whiskey at 7.5 years and 133 proof, distillery exclusive. And I tried to get up to the distillery the day after that episode to grab a full bottle.
I tried
But
to get a friend who lived in Pittsburgh to go, but he wasn't
yeah,
able to go.
I couldn't convince anybody to go with me, and it was a long way. So this is all that I have left. And unlike the Hinter House, weirdly, I'm going to save just a tiny little bit of this, but it is so good. It is so good.
Yeah, so I am down to an ounce, and I know that that was all consumed between the episode, and I didn't write a review on this one, so I think I just wanted to have it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to save some for a review because that has to
Mhm.
happen, and it's gonna have to be soon because once I'm down to half an ounce, I don't trust this to preserve its flavor anymore. But it is absolutely going in this blend. This is a phenomenal whiskey, very different from everything else that Liberty Pole puts out.
By the way, if you like rye whiskey like I do, they do amazing Monongahela style rye and a peated rye whiskey that is fantastic.
So I've just learned because pouring from a 2 ounce sample bottle is a lot more reliable than free pouring. I've actually probably been pouring 3/4 of an ounce of everything.
Oh well.
But yeah, I'm gonna so half an ounce of this is going in here. So it's gonna be a little light in this particular blend, but it's got to go in. It's really cool. I agree. Liberty Pole has become one of my go-to sippers outside of Scotch and American single malt. So between the it's mostly the rye and the peated rye is what I have.
Yeah.
Peated rye is really good in Coke, like peated rye and Coke. You want a whiskey Coke? Try peated rye and Coke. Like I don't know why that works, but it does. Okay. So then the Lost Lantern 10-year collection, and so we had a few options for that. So we both kind of pulled out the same thing, which was the Westland Distillery. Yeah, my camera's not happy with
come
that.
on.
The Westland Distillery 9.99-year-old.
Yeah.
There was more stuff in the 10-year collection, but you know, we are going to represent Westland in this blend.
I mean, this is the last one that I have that is single malt from that collection. Because I think the only other ones that I have left are the Tom's Foolery and the rye, the Spirit Works rye, and I have very little of those left.
So there were 4 of them, right?
Mhm.
and all of the and except for this one, they were rye and bourbon. So
Oh, okay.
this is the only option as long as we're focused in on that particular episode.
Mhm.
And I think I'd like to because I know what we tasted in that episode. So yes, we're gonna stick with the 9.99 year Westland Distillery. So they released this. They reached out. It's a fun story. Go watch the episode. But like, they could have released this 10 years old. They didn't because Westland hadn't yet, and they wanted to. They asked Westland, "Hey, can we do this, or do you want to release a 10-year first?" And Westland said, "Thanks for asking. Actually, we'd love it if you could leave us that honor." So that's what happened. I immediately bought a bottle of this. Like, we hung up the call and I was like, nope, I'm buying that. Like, didn't even normally, like, I go straight from stream and like go visit my wife because I've been not paying any attention to her for 2 hours. In this case, I was like, nope, we're going to order that right now. Or like, if it hadn't, I don't know, was that a pre-release? Like, we did that episode before they actually released it?
It was the day before it was available. No. I can tell you the exact timing because it was the day before their
It's the day before your birthday. No, I'm just kidding.
No, the day before the tasting room release.
Oh, that's right.
And then it was available online, I think, a week later.
Okay, so I'm thinking of a different episode then.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, I made the decision immediately to buy a bottle of that and did so.
It is extremely good.
All right, moving right along. So ratification day was another, December 2024. We got, I think they published the language on the 15th. They made it official on the 18th. It went into effect on January 13th.
I think so, yes.
But anyway, that was not a, this was a long chat. Me, Freedom Malts, I believe Brian D. Whiskey from 10th Mountain also popped in on that call.
Yeah.
We didn't have any whiskey features though. So moving right along, we have Boulder Spirits. I know which one I'm having. So that's going to be the next in the series. It's the Leave No Trace.
Oh, which one did I put in before? The Bottle and Bond. For this one, I'm going to do the New American.
So the Leave No Trace was... So the Leave No Trace was, I believe it includes some peated whiskey, but it's also a bunch of different types of casks. This says less about what's in it. Aged in American and European oak, 10% Boulder County malt, and is lightly peated. So this is lightly peated and sherried, is what I recall from that conversation. And I believe that interview was more or less about this whiskey. But that interview was also like, in some ways, I would say it was one of the most political interviews that we've done. And I don't mean in terms of the conversation that we had, but in terms of setting it up. And I didn't realize this until after the fact, but I had been interested in interviewing Alistair Brogan, the founder of Boulder Spirits, because of essentially his role in defining the early American single malt whiskey category. He's a Scotsman who came over to the United States, wanted to make single malt in the style of American whiskey. And sort of his definition for that was bring over Scottish stills, do 100% malted barley, but age it in new oak.
Mm-hmm.
And also the fact that it's aged at elevation adds a different sort of shade of what makes it unique.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's from Colorado, it's like a mile high-ish, right? So we had already interviewed Ryan Negley, and I wanted to interview Alistair Brogan, and Ryan knew this and sort of reached out in December and offered to put me in touch with Alistair. And I think, if I remember right, there was something in the news cycle that like Boulder Spirits was having a tough time, but then it came out that Ryan Negley had left or had been let go from Boulder Spirits. And that was after the interview. I didn't know that was happening until later, but like in retrospect, I think Ryan was trying to make sure that I didn't lose that brand connection. And that was awesome
Yeah.
of him.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan Nagley is an extremely cool dude. I enjoyed talking to him, and I hope that wherever he is now, he's distilling good stuff, which I'm sure he is.
He
And
was just on Freedom Malt's Blind Sample Showdown.
how did I miss
And
that?
and
Oh, that may have been the one that I slept through by accident.
I think it was last Thursday.
Yeah, that's the
But
one that I
time,
slept through.
I have a kid now. Time is an odd construct that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
In any case, sounds like he's doing really well. He's
I'm
basically
glad.
got a blending consulting business going.
Good. I hope he's doing well.
I
Extremely
hope we
cool.
get a chance to interview him again.
Yes.
And sort of talk about what he's working on now. But it sounds like a lot of that might be under NDA, so it'd be tough for him to talk about specifics. But
I know.
we'll work that out later.
He's a blending consultant. He can tell us what he thinks of our blends.
Right. That's what we need to just keep. We need to keep sending mystery juice to our master blenders and say, hey, what do you think of this? Okay, so Trillium, we interviewed because they announced they're making an American single malt. They don't have it out yet. So because it's not an American single malt, I'm going to skip over that for the purposes of today's blend. River Roots is hopped malt whiskey. They make other whiskeys too, but their malt whiskey is all ready to drink beer distilled by Charbet in California, and that's how it's pronounced. I've learned. I've been corrected. It's not Charbet, it's Charbet. And that's unofficial. But there's a lot of indications to suggest that their malt whiskey is the ready to drink beer distilled by Charbet, which means it has hops in it, and it is also not single malt, and not just because of the hops, but also because it is a mix of malted barley and some other grains. But mostly it's like more than 80% malted barley, or like 75-85% malted barley. So it's pretty close. It was worthy of the conversation on this podcast.
Absolutely.
But it is not American single malt. So next up I am including this one in our list, the episode 38, because we talked about the VDC Blend Your Own. And
I didn't bring that down.
Yeah, this might be a surprise to you.
Yeah, I didn't grab that kit. Sorry.
So you know what? Since you didn't, and that's a surprise to you, and I only have so much, and I haven't like finalized my blend yet. It's a to-do item I have to do, because we're gonna do that, and we're gonna get the bottle, and then we're gonna ask Amanda back on and talk about that. The funny thing is, we have her queued up for like 3 different episodes, and she said yes to all of them, but I don't think she said yes to doing 3 episodes, right? It's just like every idea I've sent to her, she's like, yeah, sure, let's set it up.
Yeah. She's
She's
extremely cool.
Yeah, she's very cool. And for some reason, she seems to like us. So, and that's me putting words in people's mouths again. But just the evidence of she's been on the show more than once and she's willing to come back. I think we're doing okay.
We haven't scared her off.
That's right. Okay, so episode 40, Few does have a single malt, and I have a sample of it. But I also want to use this as an excuse to put a bit of the Good Deeds blend in our blend here, because we talked with Aaron Lee about the Step Up internship and the Good Deeds whiskey. Good Deeds' first whiskey was a blend of American single malt whiskeys. I feel like it goes in this blend,
and I don't have any of that either. So I will make a note that I need some.
Didn't I send you some?
Pretty
sure I did.
Or you may have, but that may have been long enough ago that I consumed that sample. I used to have a habit of trying to empty sample bottles.
No, that's smart. That's good. You should do that.
I should. It's gotten a little bit away from me.
It's hard. When we do this like every week or every other week, it's hard to find time to drink anything else. Like, genuinely.
I have the other Good Deeds blend, the one that's bourbon and rye.
Right. That's a great blend. That would not go in this.
No.
Is it bourbon and rye, or is it just rye?
It is bourbon and rye. I gotta.
We've made it when the spam bots show up on Twitch.
Oh yeah.
Possible ban evader, it says.
Oh. I don't have I haven't logged into Twitch on my work computer, so I
It's
can't
okay.
even.
It's okay. I got it.
Excellent.
I love that you're calling the podcast computer that belongs to the business your work computer. That makes
Oh
me.
yeah.
You take this so seriously, Phil. But I appreciate that.
I poured myself a little bit of the Copper Fox Peachwood smoked.
Nice.
So good. So good. One of my
So
favorites.
that was the Few single malt. And so Few makes single malt, but only infrequently now, or like maybe ever. I think they should make more. I think it's pretty good. That particular sample, I think, was a little on the immature side. Either something about it needed more age, or it needed to be aged differently, or maybe something with the grain. Who knows? It was a little bit raw, but I still think it's really good and shows a lot of promise. And I wish that Few made more American single malt. Between Sidney Jones and Aaron Lee, I feel like they've got a really good sense for American single malt, even though that's not what Few makes. That's not what they make, generally speaking, at Few. Okay, so Good Deeds also going in. I see that you're muted because of background noise. That's cool. I can hold my own, and maybe I'll go a little faster.
I muted myself because my mom's grabbing the dog to take the dog for a walk.
Dogs are unpredictable, of course. Bourbon Lens is watching. I hope still watching. I agree. This is a comment from Instagram, which I guess I'll comment. I'll copy over to StreamYard so I can display it. Bourbon Lens is watching on Instagram and says we should have a Whiskey Podcasters Anonymous meeting to discuss the struggles of bottle storage, lost samples, and more. Yeah, all the problems I'm having right now, and I'm sure we all have the same problems. I've actually been thinking. I meant to put that up on screen. I've actually been thinking I wanted to reach out to to you, to Embellish Pod, to Whiskey Ring, just basically any Whiskey Rocks, also just basically any whiskey podcaster I know on Instagram, and the Whiskey Shaman. Basically, like there's like 6 of us. Just what I just named right there is 5 or 6. I think there's a lot to talk about, and I think it could be an episode. Or it could just be we sit around and commiserate, but like when you're content minded and we're all game, Okay, we got to move on.
Yes.
This speed run is dragging a bit. We've got about 10 episodes left to sort of get through.
Yes.
So Dry Week special, all the bitters, excellent. Go watch that episode. He's awesome. Let's see. We skipped over that when we went to a few spirits. Okay, so we've got the quintessential back again, and the one that I'm going to put in is the Peated Amontillado cask. You already brought that out as one of your best, but that was the reason we did that episode.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what I brought out before as my bottle that I keep coming back to is the Marquette cask. I actually have a sample of the Peated Amontillado that I'm not sure how I ended up with, why I ended up with.
Did I send you? Did you get a whole bottle of it?
I bought myself a whole bottle of it. Yes.
Okay, I think I sent you a sample ahead of the episode. Is what happened to make sure you had it.
Right. Oh yeah, because timing was wonky.
Pretty sure we did the episode like the day it released or something.
I think so. So I think that must be why.
Yeah. This is a really good one.
It is so
the reason
good.
this particular bottle is empty is this is not me. This is not samples. This has been enjoyed between me and friends and family. And there's, I should get rid of the big display that we're not looking at and actually show this. Because I have so many bottles of whiskey, this is a rare distinction that this is something that me and my friends and family, everybody wants to keep coming back to this. Cedar Ridge is a favorite among my people. Also, I believe when this was announced that it was coming on Instagram, I reached out to Murphy immediately.
Yes.
I was like, hey, Peated Amontillado is perfect for us. We love that.
I think Amontillado is one of our favorites on the Sherry episode, and not just because I read an excerpt from the Edgar Allan Poe short story,
Right.
but also it is just a really interesting sherry, a very interesting flavor profile, and it delivers something really interesting to the peat.
By the way, Bourbon Lens responded with "Let's do it, just do a hangout though." So sounds like not an episode, but I'm still game. It doesn't have to be content in order to be fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun in a different way when it's not recorded.
All right.
Okay.
I believe next is another Del Bach episode. I thought I saw
so
mark
Minden
up
Mill
there.
was up next.
Oh.
So wait, hold on. Sorry. I need to make sure you can see this too. Okay. Yeah, so we just did episode 41, Murphy Quint. Episode 42 is Minden Mill, and of course we have one option. It's the Minden Mill American Single Malt.
By the way, guys, this is a really new brand. The master distiller, who's sort of not exactly in charge because he's working with an excellent team of people, but Joseph O'Sullivan took over.
He's in charge.
Oh, he's in charge?
He's master of his domain. It's just that he's got there are higher ups that are calling the shots in terms of certain aspects of the business.
I mean, I was saying I know that he also has a if not master blender, a head blender at the distillery.
Yeah.
But I mean, fantastic brand. They're doing something really interesting and different. I personally think that their rye is exceptional, and I need to get more of it.
I think the American Single Malt is also exceptional.
Oh, yes.
It's different than most American Single Malt. It's got we go into length about why on the podcast, but basically the stills are heated with thermal oil, which is kind of an unusual thing. It lets the temperature get higher without burning the wash.
Glycol jacketed stills. It's really cool. It gives them the ability to control very tightly the temperature of the still, and it is really interesting. They're able to get it right into the right range for a good Maillard reaction. It is so cool. Also, their packaging is awesome.
Yeah. And I think we can breeze by the ones that are more recent also, because we're getting close to we've spent longer than we should have.
Yes.
We're getting close to the end. A lot of these are recent. So the audience is going to be more familiar. So Distillery Acadienne, do you still have your sample of their single malt?
Yes. It's over here somewhere. Yes.
I think this is really good, really unique American single malt, and unfortunately, they aren't producing it anymore. So whatever they've got in barrels right now, that's the last of it. And that's actually the reason I asked for that interview, because I think, as much fun as it is to talk about like all the rosy stuff around the American single malt whiskey category. Sorry, I misspoke. That's not the reason I called for the interview. That's something I learned when I asked for the interview. The reason I asked for the interview is he happened to file the first TTB Cola label approval request for American single malt whiskey. So his label for the Bonvale is the first official under the type category American single malt whiskey. So that was a cool distinction. And what we learned was that even though that was the case, he'd actually stopped distilling this product because it doesn't sell very well in his home market, which is Lafayette, I believe.
Yeah. Which is a shame, because it is very interesting. I'm going to have to go buy a bottle just to make sure that I have a bottle of it.
Well, so we're still sort of in the back end, me and Freedom Malts, and I've talked to you about it too. Been talking about buying. So they're short casks. They're really small barrels, right? We've been talking about just buying the 50-ish bottle run of one of these casks. Just buy a single cask.
I'm down.
Not necessarily like put it up for retail, although we'll see if we can pull that off. But this is such a unique thing in the fact that it's an endangered species, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm absolutely down. You know that.
Yeah. Well, being on the hook for, half of the cost of a barrel is a significant
Yeah.
investment. So it's still something to think about, and like
Yeah.
how we can make that affordable. And by the way, progress check. We have enough room for the rest.
Yes. I've been apparently much more conservative than you because I have a lot more room left in my bottle.
I'm pouring with my heart, but you're pouring from 2-ounce sample bottles, which means you're staying closer to half an ounce per thing.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, we had a follow-up from Bourbon Lens. Say don't do it as an episode because you don't want to edit that many audio files. Yeah,
Fair.
6 guests
Fair.
is a lot to edit together. That's why we do most stuff unedited anyway. So that's maybe it makes sense for my feed and not your feed. So that's also an option. Okay, cool. Moving on. Got to bring back the window. Okay, so Distillery Acadienne. We talked about Virginia Whiskey Tournament. There's two. It's not really a featured brand. There's a lot of American single malts made in Virginia. We can kind of skip over that. Whoops. Okay, that's the first time I've accidentally clicked on a video. Okay, there's the playlist. Sorry for the jump scare when the audio started playing. And funny enough, that was actually not our podcast. That is Crafted Conversations. Good conversation, not us. We'll skip over it. So Catoctin Creek made Finch and Hawk, a American single malt whiskey. Really good. Mostly they make really delicious rye, and rye that's so good that when we did that episode, I decided I needed to go buy some. And that, like, considering how many bottles of whiskey I have, making that decision is not something I take lightly.
If you would like to know how good their rye whiskey is, I have 21 bottles of whiskey from Catoctin Creek. Not all of them are rye. Some of them are sort of their collaborations with breweries to distill beer, but most of
those are malt whiskeys, but not American single malt whiskeys.
Yes. Most of the plurality of them are rye whiskeys, and I have joined the subscription service, not the full Cornerstone Club, to get a special release every quarter that is a club exclusive rye whiskey, and so far they have been fantastic. Curacao barrel finish and an apple brandy barrel finish, both absolutely delicious. And I will stop prattling on about one of my favorite brands.
Yeah, they're worthy of being a favorite. The American single malt whiskey is, like, I'll say it, not the best thing that they do. Yeah. That said, it's very good whiskey. It's just that all their other whiskey is so good. And also is rye is something they do all the time, as opposed to American single malt whiskey happens occasionally. Okay, next up, Swift. So I'm gonna grab my Sauterne cask barrel.
Oh hey, did you see that? That's what I grabbed as well. By the way, we have different batches of the Sauternes, I believe.
We do, and I think you sent me a sample.
Yes.
To sort of, so I could have both. And I believe I ended up liking mine better, which is good because I own it.
Yeah. And strangely, I think I ended up liking mine better.
Yeah, hey,
I think we just got lucky on that one.
It's great when it works out that way, for sure. So Swift is very young whiskey, between 1 and 2 years old.
Out of Texas.
Out of Texas, Central Texas. It's spring, like sort of nearest to Spring, Texas, which is kind of halfway between Austin and Andalusia. So that's sort of the idea. But I don't think they actually are open to the public.
They are not.
That's just where they happen to be located. So and when I say the whiskey is between 1 and 2 years old, they've decided that's where it shines best. Believable, because it's Texas, and because they're doing they pick the grain for flavor. They distill it as if it's going to be aged less, because, like, one of the reasons you age whiskey a long time is because distillation develops some off flavors. If you just distill in such a way, you don't get as many of those off flavors in the first place, and then you cook it in Texas. Although I think they're doing climate controlled aging, so that's not really part of it.
I believe so, or at least primarily. So
you get a really pale whiskey, but this is the exception to the rule that whiskey can be too young. Like, I think even though this let's put it a different way. This proves age is just a number when it comes to whiskey. You can taste that it is young, but unlike most whiskeys where you can say that, it's not in a bad way. It's like it has like the flavor notes that can only exist in young whiskey, but they're not bad.
Big grain influence, which is important. And the finish is nicely integrated.
Yeah, and they pick really good, high quality finishing casks, and that is a big part of what makes it a delicious. I don't think they do any whiskey that's not finished. I think that's actually really important to their profile. But yeah, anyway, check them out. And they also apparently they perform very well with women. So I guess the branding, the label, the sort of the messaging around the brand, it works really well. Amanda Swift was a really great interview, great to talk to. I know Carrie Daniels was told me that he was a little bit envious that we had gotten her to say so much more to us than she had said to him when she went on the record with him. Don't really know exactly why, but I guess we bring out the geekery on this podcast when we're asking those deep, detailed questions. So I thought that was a great interview. That was a really fun one. Worth mentioning, we tried to reduce our runtime. It's really hard to stay like an hour 15 feels rushed. And as you can see, we're at an hour 46. The speed run has slowed down quite a lot as we've gone along. So let's get back to it. So storytelling and whiskey. I'm going to bring out a Del Bach for this. So we had our former co-host, Spooky Chicken, also known as Ian. Ian is his real name. He works for Whiskey Del Bach. But that wasn't true when we started this show. So sort of, I guess, in the circles that we run in, he ended up getting the connections he needed to get that job. And he's been quite busy with that job. So we don't get to see him that often, but he came on to talk to us about basically what it's like being a tour guide at Del Bach and how you tell the story of the brand, and also how every individual tour guide brings their own perspective to that. He also gifted me a bottle of a distiller's cut. And I feel like just in the spirit of that's the featured whiskey of that episode, that's going in my blend.
Really quick, paying the dog tax.
Yep, dog tax. So the spring 2023 distiller's cut was the bottle that he got for me and stashed for me until I finally visited Tucson for ACSA this year.
I'm putting a little bit of the classic in there. Oops, I need to pull the cap off of my blend. I decided to put the cap on and invert it a couple times to mix it a little bit.
Right. We're coming up on, even though this is like, it's going to need time to settle down, we are going to taste this at the end of this episode.
Yes.
Goes without saying, but maybe the audience doesn't know that. So yeah, for sure, we're going to taste this. This is really good, but I've only tasted it once before. It was on that episode. So now half an ounce has gone into my blend, and I'm going to have to remember to go taste this later.
I need to get my hands on a bottle of Ode to Redacted.
That's right. I actually thought about putting that in this blend, but it didn't seem like there's a good place for it.
Yeah. All right.
That's really funny. I hope they rename it that. I can't wait to see the cola label change.
Oh, yeah. It would be kind of a fun way to stick it to somebody in a position of power.
Okay, that was storytelling and whiskey. So the Westward, you have a sample of the Milestone too, right, Phil?
I do not have one in front of me. I know that I have one. I went and checked all the boxes of samples that I have. I know that I have one somewhere. It's a 1 ounce sample bottle. And I know because I've got a picture of it with all the other Westward samples that you sent me in that group on my phone. So I will add that later once I find. Sorry, I had to mute my mic and fuss up the dog. I've already made a note.
Okay. So we have Westward Milestone 2, which was the featured pour of my sit down in the barrel house with Miles, filmed on 4K. So that's one of our higher production value episodes. This is a really cool whiskey. It's got probably a hint of Amberana in it, just based on the flavor profile. And it's got a little bit of like all their special releases in terms of the casks, and it's a Solera cask system. The first one I wasn't super convinced by because it was released at 83 proof or 86 proof or something. So it was lower than their standard release. And it was like, it was a really elegant homogenization of the brand. It had none of the rough edges, but the Milestone one, because of that, also lost sort of what makes Westward interesting. But Milestone 2 brought a lot of interesting twists and turns in flavor. It's got a really perfumey, sort of incense kind of bouquet. It's got that sort of the spices from what I think is the Amberana. It's got some rum cask influence in there, I believe. It's got various different like the Sauterne and the cognac cask and everything. There's a lot of really like high quality, expensive casks that went into this blend, and it shows. It's a really tasty one. The only thing I would say is it doesn't perform well if you compare it against like a typical Scotch profile. The typical Scotch profile has just like a very different style of malty backbone to it, and like somehow those like floral, fruity, malty notes sort of cancel out, and you're left with the funky edges of this blend. And so anytime I've had this in a flight with Scotch, it doesn't perform well, but on its own, it's really tasty. So it's just one of those whiskeys where context matters.
Like I said, once I find that sample, I will put it in the blend.
And one last thing. So, oops. Okay. Didn't almost knock over anything important. So Blind Sample Showdown still is a friend, Freedom Malts, doing a different series on the internet. And Freedom Malts and the Whiskey Shaman and I have started a series called Three Guys, One Grain, where we talk about American single malt whiskey from a consumer perspective. No guests, just real takes. So that's an ad for that series. We're going to do one about once a month, but basically whenever there's enough to talk about. So it's going to be one of those. But that's not our show per se, and there was no featured whiskey. So we're going to move right on to Garyana 10. And we did talk about other whiskeys in that episode. So Phil, you are free to not use Garyana 10 as your blender.
I think I will.
But I am for sure putting Garyana 10 because we talked earlier about the Westland 9.99 year from Lost Lantern. And the reason why is because Garyana 10 was coming. And so
and it is
only feels right to put this in also.
Really important sort of milestone, not just for Westland as a brand, but also sort of American single malt, because there are not many distilleries putting out American single malts with double-digit age statements. I think the Notch might be. I think that's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head.
It was definitely the first.
Yeah.
And there might be a few at this point. And we know that there's a McCarthy's 10 year coming in the next Lost Lantern collection, which, by the way, preview, we're doing an episode with them next week. I don't know what day of the week yet. We are still waiting for our samples to arrive, but we're doing a launch episode for the Scotch Lovers collection series, which includes a 10-year McCarthy's, a peated 888. 888 is the company that makes the Notch. The Notch is their product line. A 10-year 888 and an 11-year 888. One of those is finished in a Sauterne cask. Those are going to be really cool. And there's also a Warfield, but that one's not over 10 years old. So, okay, cool. That's everything in the blend. A bottle of which one coming? Oh, the Garyana 10. Ethan says he has a bottle of that one coming. I assume that's the Garyana 10.
I feel like we're missing something, but I can't. It's probably just me forgetting something, or me being wrong is probably what it is. But I feel like we're missing something. I can't tell you what it is.
Yeah, as I was going through this, I felt like, first of all, I wish I'd taken better notes. As we went in a form that, like, basically I wish I had anticipated I would want to do this episode, so I would have taken notes appropriate for that.
Yes.
I took notes, just not that particular notes. So, all right, I'm going to let this cook for a couple minutes and give you some statistics about our show. And I've got 5 minutes before we hit that 2-hour mark. So let's see if we can fit this in 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Let's see, where did I put that? So, for those of you, I mean, you could just like check out the YouTube channel to like find out all this, but like basically we have 50 numbered episodes of the podcast. We started the show on YouTube for 6 months or so as just guys talking about whiskey topics before we decided to make it a podcast about American single malt whiskey. And our first interview was episode number 1. Before that, we had a number of uploads that were, it was StreamYard. No, it was not StreamYard. It was before StreamYard. It was OBS, and it was directly to Twitch. And we would download the videos and then upload them to YouTube. We've got 46 video tab uploads, which includes 2 unlisted and 3 private videos for archival because we re-edited them into something else. Of our 49 numbered episodes so far, only one was a pair of part 1, part 2, which was the Copperworks. Every other episode was a distinct recording. We have done 61 live videos, including 1 unlisted and 1 private because of the re-edit. We did 12 shorts before I stopped feeling like that was worth it. But I'll probably get back to that. Of the unnumbered episodes, there were a few that were recuts of broadcasts we already did because we were trying to do the YouTube thing where we edit shorter videos, and like something that's between 10, I don't know if you ever really achieved this, but like videos that are in sort of that YouTube sweet spot of like between 5 and 20-ish to 20, 30 minutes, depending on the type of content. Kind of stopped doing that. Let's see. We have amassed a total of, let's see. Uploaded videos got 1.8 thousand views. Live videos got 4,000 views total, including views after the broadcast. Shorts got 2.2 thousand views. So if you want views, shorts are the way to go. But all videos altogether got 140,000 impressions, which is just, it feels like a mind-bogglingly large number because our audience is frankly kind of small. But that makes me feel like this is not as small as I thought. And definitely the number of views, like we're talking about, give or take 8,000 views. Beyond our videos, I've been featured, collabed on, or mentioned on other channels 10 times so far. 1 on Embellished Podcast, 5 on the Freedom Malts Blind Sample Showdown, 1 on the Whiskey Vault, where Daniel reviewed our rum cask McCarthy's. Once on Crafted Conversations, which is in that feed, the podcast feed, with permission, because that was a co-interview that Alan and I did with Mark. And then we have this 3 Guys 1 Grain, which is part of our feed, but it's not a numbered podcast episode. So count that how you like. Let's see. 30 of our episodes featured an American single malt whiskey brand, only 1 of which was no guest. So we've had 29 episodes with a guest. But if you count the episodes that had multiple guests, believe it's kind of funny how you sort of represent this. When I was adding all the tags to Instagram, it was 19 different brands that I tagged, but I might have missed some when I was doing that because I was doing it in a hurry. But yeah, we've done a few over again. So like we've had Del Bach a few times, we've had VDC a few times. Copperworks, I think we've only had once, but it was 2 episodes because of the 2-parter. We had Westward 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 3 times. So like we've done a few repeats, but mostly it's been unique stuff. So I would say like somewhere between 20 and 25 unique brands have been represented on the podcast. On the wall behind me, there are a few brands we have not represented yet, not counting Lost Lantern. There's a lot of brands in there that we'd like to talk to that we haven't seen yet. Stranahan's still pending. I also want to talk to Talnua, but they're not an American single malt. They're just related enough that it feels appropriate. Brother Justice, big one that we haven't done yet.
I'd really like to talk to the folks at Cashel in Virginia.
Yes. Who else is Balcones. We have an episode recorded with Balcones that I have to edit and run by their PR team just so that they know what's getting sent out into the world, because that was the agreement that we had. There was one question I asked that they wanted me to cut. I have to edit that out before I can publish that episode. And having a baby has taken all the time out of my schedule that I would be able to edit an episode in. So that's coming, just not sure when, hopefully soon, because they've been waiting for like 5 months. Which means you all have been waiting for 5 months. There's a couple of other episodes that I've recorded that I've not edited for release yet. So there's more content coming. We're not stopping here. This isn't like a saying goodbye to the podcast. This is in some ways we're just getting started, because we got to 50 episodes, and somehow looking at that list, I feel like there's just too many brands we haven't talked to yet, and I want to fix that.
I want to talk to 888. I want to talk to someone from 888. I want to talk. I mean, there are just so many people that I want to talk to just because they do really cool, interesting stuff. We just haven't had an opportunity yet.
All right, so this has been cooking as long as we can afford to let it cook. I think it's time for us to taste. And so as not to influence my nose with the last thing that was in the glass that I was using to pour this, I'm getting a fresh glass, which of course means I have more washing to do later, but such is life.
I've only used 3 glasses tonight, so I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, I am on, this is the 4th glass. So basically managed to fill up, call it almost 500 milliliters worth of. I'll have to list and count how many bottles actually went into it. So Phil, send me your list of bottles that you put in.
Yep.
Because I'm going to put the list of bottles at the bottom of the video description.
I did it by hand, so I'll have to type up the list and send it to you.
Yeah, Bourbon Lens, the Amberana that we believe we're detecting in this blend is not confirmed by Westward, but it's got to be subtle. It's there for sure, but there's more to the blend. Like there's more in the profile. Sorry, I'm talking about this comment. So it didn't overwhelm, but it's definitely there. Or if it's not Amberana, whatever it is that whatever funky wine or whatever it is that they used in it, it's pushing through, but it's not the only thing that's there.
Okay. I was expecting a real scrapple of a blend here, but
well put.
I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that at all.
It is by no means well blended, or
no,
Like
we
this
don't
was-
claim to be professional blenders here. Not at all. I have no
This-
industry experience other than talking to distillers.
This would not fly as a commercially available whiskey, I think, partially because I used a bunch of like peated and smoky whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got this like heavy cloak of like palate coating, smoky, but some things that noticeably punch through, weirdly, is definitely the Swift Sauternes. That like light, bright Sauterne cask sweetness kind of sits right on top.
I misinterpreted that comment. So what Bourbon Lens is saying is that Westward has Amberana in it. They're pretty sure, but they're saying if it pushes through an R blend, they won't be surprised. So okay, I feel like that's been diluted. That's been enough. That's been diluted enough times over that like if you're looking for it, I'd say it's still there, but it's not the driving flavor at all, which is encouraging.
My blend is growing on me, Doug. I like it.
Yeah, well, it's had more time to cook and breathe, and
yeah. Oh. So the real standouts for me are definitely the things that I'm really picking up are the Cedar Ridge Peated Amontillado, the Swift Sauterne, and weirdly, I think a blend of the Liberty Pole and the Wasmans and the Dorado, giving it like a really woody, smoky character, as well as some of that like medicinal iodine peat or smoke from the peat. And I think that it balances relatively well. I still don't think this would fly as a commercial product.
Yeah,
It's got too many rough edges.
we're gonna have to swap samples because that sounds good, but it doesn't sound anything like mine. Maybe a little. So first of all, like if I had to name the flavor profile that's coming out of the nose at me, it's salted caramel chocolate covered pretzels.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Ooh, that's intense. So on the palate, the Copper Fox is screaming out there.
Yeah.
The the 67% that did some work in here for sure. But on the nose, I feel like, I mean, it was the last thing that went in, so this could be why, but I feel like the Garyana 10 is present. The mesquite smoke, but specifically the Del Bach mesquite smoke is really present.
So where mine really falls out is
the VDC Cabernet. Yeah,
Cabernet.
the VDC Cabernet is actually, there's a lot here on the nose from that.
Huh. Where mine falls flat is it's definitely lacking a lot of the like low end bass notes. It's very mid and top heavy.
Grab a milk frother, Bourbon Lens says. I don't have that handy, and we're already over 2 hours, so I think I'm gonna let this be, but I might try that later.
Yeah. Oh, this is really interesting.
I can't wait to see what happens to this after it sits in the bottle for a couple weeks or a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we should do, Phil, is we should let our blends sit for a while. Probably like let's revisit this in January, send samples to each other.
Yeah.
And find an appropriate time to taste them.
Yes, absolutely.
But you know, if I had to give it a rating right now, 6.7.
I was gonna say about 69.
So I couldn't help myself because like I was just thinking like my 10 point my score out of 10 rating system is completely dead now. I can't rate anything a 6 or 7 out of 10 because 6.7.
Yeah. It's weird how like memes like that sort of pervade, like even if you aren't like super socially conscious of them, kind of worm their way into like just general life. It's just kind of an interesting thought. I will say really, really interesting sort of the finish on mine was really ashy. And it's been sort of slowly growing, and I can't figure out where that's from because none of the whiskeys that I put in it are particularly ashy.
It could be the Copper Fox gave me a little ashiness. I wouldn't say any of the mesquite smoked whiskeys really have an ashiness.
No.
Maybe the Andalusia. Like I think hardwood smoke tends to lean ashy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Weird.
I thought this was going to be a mess. I thought it was going to be horrible. Like I'm actually decently happy with that. Like,
yeah,
I was committed to the bit enough to say I'm going to put a half ounce of something I only have an ounce left of that I still want to review, and just deal with the consequences of that, knowing that there's a good chance what we're blending here is going to be bad.
Yeah,
I'm okay. I'm okay with. I was already okay with losing that whiskey, but I felt like the whiskey didn't get lost.
No, I mean, genuinely, this is such an interesting blend. On your note about like reviews and like giving things scores, I kind of stopped doing that a while ago, and I found that it rubs some people the wrong way, but I think I like my system better.
Yeah, it gives you more real information. It's hard for me not to because
it's so ingrained.
I don't know how many, like 120 or so written reviews where I give it a score.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels weird to just change the system now because
Yeah.
like by the time I've written the review, in my mind, the score is self-evident. And like leaving the score off on some like philosophical, like, oh, I don't want to like maybe part of it is like since starting the podcast, I feel like I'm not as free to give like ratings of things that are like brands we want to boost because of the potential that like if I only give it a rating if the rating was positive, then people will take that as meaning the other ones are negative. But if I leave more negative ratings on things, people might interpret that that might come off the wrong way in terms of the brands. But like the brands that we talk to and the people that we talk to like are open to criticism
Yeah. As
and
long
don't
as you're polite
mind.
about it.
Right. So like that shouldn't be the reason, but like I wouldn't want me leaving something a negative review to be a reason that somebody never tries something.
Yeah. So I've got a
Yeah, still at it. We're wrapping up here. We are tasting our final blend and sort of turns out not terrible.
I have a note on the nose that's probably going to be baffling.
Okay.
Burning pine pitch and anthracite coal smoke.
Okay, so you're getting creosote.
I mean, yeah. I
Interesting.
stuck my nose in the glass and I was suddenly standing between a couple of steam tractors at the Berryville Shenandoah Steam and Gas show.
Okay, that is just a wonderful endorsement of what you made.
I mean,
The fact that you're able to evoke a sense memory with something you just threw together. That's pretty cool.
I want to recreate it.
Good luck.
Yeah, it's not happening. I didn't take any volume
because
notes.
in the interest of speed running, we didn't weigh our measures here. Your best hope at doing that would be to try to divine it by looking at our videos. So like you could reconstruct it that way. You know what I would say? Every bottle, right? Like there's so few things I buy a second bottle of because every bottle is its own expression, its own adventure. Like it's this thing that this brand did with this particular label on this particular year. The idea that like you could buy the exact same thing again, but like your whiskey's going to change while it's in the bottle. Your palate's going to change. Your taste and your interests are going to change. Every whiskey is its own singular experience. Experience it, move on.
And there are so many things to try and experience. I have probably 20, 25 full bottles of whiskey on this table right now, and more than that in samples.
Yeah, that's true. I don't even want to think about how much liquid, how many bottles worth of liquid I have in samples. That's a scary thought. I've got a lot of samples, probably more bottles than samples, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's really close. Like between 300 and 400 samples for sure.
Ooh, Courage and Conviction Pommeau finish.
Whoa.
I haven't had that one. I'm going to have to go looking. Unless that's a club exclusive, in which case I can't afford to do that right now. But wow, that sounds really good.
Yeah. You know what's tough? So I want to do a special. I want to do one of our multiple guest episodes, brands that have clubs. So
yes,
Westward, Lost Lantern, Virginia
Distilling Company.
I think less Catoctin Creek because they're not American Single Malt, and if we have to leave somebody out, but also Copperworks has a club, and we're getting to a lot of clubs now. Like I feel like 4 guests simultaneously is a lot.
Yeah,
but maybe we did 3. But we managed 3 guests, so maybe we can manage 4. But we might have to choose. So I think if it was just like the order that I know about them, it would be Westward, Lost Lantern, and Virginia. But that could be a really I think it would be a lot of industry inside baseball. Like why do a club? What works about a club?
Yes,
et cetera. Like, and that's an idea episode I have. Not quite sure how to execute it yet.
And what your club customers look like, the demographics of your club. I mean, that may be getting a little bit too inside baseball, but
I don't think we need to judge how people look.
I mean,
I don't think we need to find out who has the prettiest subscribers.
Definitely us. We have the prettiest subscribers.
Hell yeah, we do. And
By
on
the way,
that note, we're well over time. We've
yes.
gone an hour. My target was an hour and 15 for our
Sorry.
speed run of a blend. We ended up talking too much because that's what we do, and we also we talk when we get tired. We're gonna stop now.
Yes.
This turned out better than we thought. This has been a great time going back over the podcast and looking at all these statistics. It's really hard to narrow the podcast down into like a single statistic
Yeah.
because once again, we've got 50 numbered episodes, but we have, what was the number?
Almost.
80,
I
80
was going to
what?
say almost double that total number of videos. I mean,
84. So I put it this way. 84 podcast eligible recordings in the sense that like they're roughly in the style of our podcast, even if we didn't give them numbers.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Ethan.
Yeah, thank you, Ethan. Cheers to you. Thanks for being here. And I think for the first time, or at least the first time commenter. So welcome in. You'll see more of us. Our schedule's a little sporadic right now, and we tend to announce things at the last minute. But I'm going to try to announce episodes roughly a month before they actually happen, at least in some form, so that people aren't as quite as surprised. So Lost Lantern's coming next week. That's the only thing we have confirmed for sure. Stranahan's coming soon. 10th Mountain, maybe January. Brother Justice, whenever I manage to make positive contact, because Phil Steger's into it, but we've never actually had a back and forth email exchange. We've only talked verbally about it. Hey, thanks so much. Man, it's wild to think if it took us 2.5 years and like really, let's say 2 years plus a lot of like missed numbers, but let's say it took us 2.5 years to get to 84 broadcasts, and 2 years to get to 50 episodes of the podcast. We could be doing this the rest of our life to have 1,000 episodes. But you know what? There's at least 200 American single malt whiskeys I have not tried.
And there are more brands making them every year.
This is a great time to be into American single malt, and I'm happy to be, shall we say it, essentially the official podcast of American single malt whiskey.
Yes. I like being
I'm glad to be here, and
Yes.
I'm glad that we're still doing it. I'm glad that there's still a modicum of interest in this podcast because we've never been accused of brevity, and we're not doing it now.
Nope. If you are into brevity and whiskey reviews, I've started making videos again. Sorry, Doug, I've got to plug my stuff.
No, Doug, I am so happy you're doing your own videos again because, like, we've been saying Phil of the Rangers Respite for 2.5 years, and in that entire 2.5 years, you've effectively been on hiatus.
Yeah. I'm finally getting back into it. I'm aiming for sub 15-minute episodes. I'm aiming for technically 3 reviews a week, 2 whiskey library reviews, and a Lost Lantern review, because I'm going to have a good collection of Lost Lantern. And I'm not going to care if I'm repeating. I mean, going forward, I won't be, because I'm dropping them off the wheel when I review them. But I put up episode 2 today. The first new Lost Lantern review is tomorrow, and so on.
Fantastic.
And I am looking forward to doing more.
And we have Stuart Conlon showed up in the chat on Instagram and thanked us for having their head distiller Erin Leon. You're welcome. She's a joy to talk to.
We would like to have her on again.
I'm glad that we finally got her a little out of her shell to come on a podcast. We had to do it pre-recorded for everybody's comfort, but we ended up putting it out unedited, and it was great. It was a really fun episode, and I love that we got to talk officially to some degree about Good Deeds, which is great whiskey. And Bourbon Lens also said High West also has a club. It's not all American single malt whiskey. I need to like remember that High West has any American single malt whiskey and actually try to get some. I've not tried it so far.
I didn't know that they did.
Oh yeah. So Phil, yeah, great point. The Whiskey Shaman asks, Phil, leave your link. We actually do put his link under most of our videos. It's not in the description of this video currently because I slapped this video together in like the last half hour before we went live because I'm way behind this week. Sorry, everybody. But normally we do put that link in the description. So it is the Rangers Respite on YouTube and on Instagram. On Instagram, it's just Rangers Respite with no the, correct?
Yes, because for some reason I either forgot or it wouldn't let me do the in front.
So I'm just going to throw it in the chat there. So that should work. Should be able to click that link if you're on YouTube. So that's the YouTube channel. And the Instagram is @Rangers Respite.
Yep. And I promise that I'm getting back into the swing of remembering how to do solo videos where I'm actually running the show and I'm not just sort of acting in support. Because in case you didn't know, Doug does all the like back end highlighting comments and like all the like complicated stuff. And it's been a while since I've used any of this software, so I'm reteaching myself, and it's been slow going. But every video gets a little bit better.
Yep. I'll just say one more time. So we are going to launch the Patreon. I was hoping to have it done before today, but taking care of a baby has taken up a lot of my time. So that hasn't really been possible, but it's coming soon. We are going to have t-shirts. We're going to have Glencairns. We're going to have barrel stave pens. But most importantly, everything we do here is out of pocket unless whiskey samples are gifted to us. Our streaming costs are out of pocket. Our travel costs are out of pocket. Any whiskey we have to buy for ourselves is out of pocket. And as you can imagine, at some point that becomes a strain on the budget, and that limits how often we can do episodes. We'd like to do episodes more often, but we need to have you guys helping us fund this operation. So even a little bit is going to help. $5, $10, $15, $25. We'll put up a couple of tiers on Patreon. We'll make sure that it's worth it to you. We have enough ideas for value added perks at this point that we think it's time to launch that. And also part of it is just this sort of feeling that like, if we don't find a way to get this thing to sell it to fund itself, we're going to have to stop doing it. And to this comment, here's to 1,000 more. We're going to need your help. So if the audience is really enjoying what we do, please consider pitching in. We'll try our best to make it worth your while. But just know that you're supporting journalism about American single malt whiskey. And if you're here watching this right now, we know you care about American single malt whiskey. So this has gone on long enough, Phil. It's time for us to sign off. Cheers to everyone for being here. Until next time, we'll see you in the lodge.
Sláinte.
Good night.